Alrighty, traders, George here, and time for an update on oil. Let's keep this thing going with some new updates here. Here's what I showed you guys last time from the last video before Thanksgiving. We had broken to some new lows here for oil into the low 73s. We had a pretty good pop, and the key price point I was pointing out was 75.30. So a break back below 75.30 would likely see a trip back down to 73.25, and below that a break to new lows altogether. I gave you guys 70.61, 69.21, and 67.36 for the next set of downside targets. Well, we all know what happened since then. Here's a look at oil Sunday night. We're currently trading at 65.06 is there. So if you guys followed along with the direction that I showed you on that chart, you walked away with some pretty huge gains, and this is not over. However, the thing I want to point out on this chart here and what's happening with oil in this very recent development is things are in a extremely heightened, dangerous state with oil on both sides of the trading fence here. We had just broken down, and this is just a 60-day look back on this particular chart. Look at all the trading commitment here in the low 80s, breaking below that, no looking back. A lot of trading commitment here abandoned. So below 73s, it just opens up. We have a huge drive down. There's a lot of trading commitment here in the 60s, the mid to upper 60s, and we're currently trading below all of that. So where oil is right now at 65 bucks is in a very precarious spot. It could literally just drop like a rock from where it is, despite how much it's sold off already. Speaking of dropping like a rock, really staying below 67 is really bearish for oil. And if it continues to do that, outside of creating some new trade zones that we don't know about yet, this is what I know about right now. We've got a lot of trading commitment here, and as we start to break down below these areas, we've got a lot more room to run to achieve price points that are going to be in harmony with the moves that it's been making. These are the three areas to watch: 59.85s, 57.89s, and 55.22s. Therefore, a huge lower downside target. This pop here on this sell-off, you'll note that the angle got much steeper. So we were running at this downtrend like this, and all of a sudden things go real steep on the sell-off here. And this happens on blow-offs. Sometimes you'll see the final leg of a impulse up or down create a steeper angle, and that's exactly what happened with oil here. And it had a really good pop. On a smaller period value, you're going to see a lot of trading commitment here that was owned by the bulls for a short time. But here's where things have gotten very dodgy, is that they have rolled back below that zone over the last couple of days here, and this price action right here is really negative. This is something that really, quote-unquote, shouldn't be happening here if this is going to be an end of move. This is not the way the final blow-off typically looks. Typically is really the wrong word. It rarely makes a maneuver like this and recovers. So just try and give this a bearish tint. Let's go tomato. So breaking back below this area here after having this nice pop, a real bearish turn for oil. And really the oil bulls have got to get this thing over 67 immediately, Sunday night, Monday morning here. Otherwise, we're likely going to retest these lows here. And if we're trading below 65s altogether, we're into 64s. There's not much trading commitment down here at all. 64.60 is sort of the edge of the cliff. That's what's coming next. All right. So very dangerous to be trying to go long here, even though the potential pops are huge. Right now is a very dangerous time to try and bottom feed this. It's not quite as dangerous to be short, but being short before this low is taken out is dangerous in that we just had a huge snapback. And if a lot of trading commitment comes in here, it could easily send price up from 64 to 67 in a heartbeat. Don't be surprised to see that happen. So really the most conservative way to trade this would be to wait for it to approach 67s and see what it does there. And ultimately, the absence of trading north of 67 up to the lower 73s or so, that's an area to watch for, the big move. That's the big move for oil if the bulls can make it happen. They stay below 67s. It's really TBD. There are psychological price points from several years ago. There's no recent trading activity that has any relevance at all. So all of this is really based on ratios and pure price. which is what I do most of my projection work on anyway. But this rollover action here is really bearish for oil, and don't be surprised to see it do a move down well into the 50s. So that's the basic thrust of this video here. We'll be on top of this more in the live room, and I'll give you an update on what's happening as well as all these other key markets. So there is your look at oil.